Android desktop mode in 17 beta 2 is more streamlined and now it looks a lot better than the one I tried before in Android 16. Let us look in what has improved. When I was testing this on Android 16 earlier, there was no built-in screen recording option available in the desktop mode. So for my previous video, I actually had to rely on a video capture card just to record the screen output. This time, after connecting my Pixel 8a to the monitor, things were a bit different. As soon as you plug it in, you get this option directly on the phone. I selected desktop and almost instantly it switches over and lands you into Android desktop on the monitor. From there, if you pull down the quick tiles, you will notice the screen record tile is available. Tapping on it gives you multiple options. You can choose to record a specific app, record directly from the mobile interface, or even select the monitor itself to capture everything happening on the larger screen. Before doing all this, there's one important step. Head over to developer options and make sure all the required options are enabled there. Once you toggle those on, restart the phone so the changes properly take effect. After that, I connected the phone to a docking station like this. I plugged in my mouse and keyboard through the dock as well, turning the whole thing into a proper desktop style experience. So now, with the mobile connected to the monitor, you actually get a full desktop style experience from my Pixel 8a. And honestly, the experience was surprisingly smooth. I wasn't expecting it to feel this polished, but navigation and responsiveness were pretty solid throughout. You can use keyboard shortcuts as well, not just the mouse. Most of the familiar Windows style shortcuts work, including pressing the Windows key to bring up the menu and instantly start typing to search for apps. That part felt very natural, especially if you are already used to working on a PC. On the taskbar, you will notice the dock style app menu sitting right at the center, very similar to what you would expect from a desktop OS. And on the right corner, you have the navigation buttons from the mobile neatly placed there. In the mouse settings, you actually get a decent amount of customization. You can adjust the cursor speed depending on how fast or slow you prefer it to move. There's also the option to swap the mouse buttons, which is great if you are left-handed or just used to a different layout. Beyond that, you can tweak the cursor itself, change its size, switch the color, and even add a stroke around it. The stroke comes with a few basic color options, but it definitely helps with visibility, especially on brighter backgrounds. And when it comes to keyboard shortcuts, most of them feel very similar to what you are used to on Windows. The only real difference is that instead of the menu key, you'll be using the Windows key on your keyboard. Opening any app here genuinely feels like using a proper desktop system. The apps don't just stretch awkwardly, they behave like resizable windows. Settings app here, you can see I'm on Cinnamon Bun, which is Android 17, and this particular build is beta 2. Switching over to the Photos app, it's the same story. The window opens in desktop mode and you can resize or move it around just like on a PC. Using the mouse scroll wheel works naturally too. I can smoothly scroll through the gallery without touching the phone at all. Maximizing the window works exactly how you would expect, and you also get the standard minimize and close buttons. Here you get a lot more flexibility when it comes to editing videos inside the Photos app or even any third-party video editing app for that matter. Since everything runs in a proper window desktop layout, it feels much closer to editing on a computer rather than on a small phone screen. You have better visibility, easier timeline control, and more precise input using a mouse and keyboard. You can also open the camera app while the phone is connected to the monitor. Though keep in mind that physical movement will obviously be limited because the device is docked. So it works, but it's more practical for static shots rather than anything handheld. Opening Chrome gives you the same desktop style experience. Here you can see how YouTube looks when opened in Chrome. It doesn't feel like a stretched mobile view. It properly loads the desktop version of the site. And apart from the usual maximize option, you actually get more window controls to manage how the app sits on the screen. Resizing works exactly the way you would expect. You can grab the edges or corners of the window and adjust it freely. If you want something more structured, you can snap the window to the left or right side of the monitor, similar to split screen on a PC. There's also the option to split apps directly on the display, which makes multitasking much easier. Once two apps are side by side, you can drag the divider between them to increase or decrease the size of each window. You can see this small indicator at the top of the window. If you hold it and drag it toward the center, it restores the app from its snapped or full screen state back into a floating window. From there, you can resize the window to pretty much any size you want, depending on how you prefer to arrange your workspace. Tapping on the first icon pushes the app into full screen mode instantly. It takes over the entire display, just like a traditional desktop app. Now if you press the reset button, you can clearly see which apps are currently running in full screen. This is essentially how the multi-desktop feature works here. At the moment, I have 3 apps running in full screen. When you restore one of those full screen apps, it moves back into the main workspace where other non-full screen apps are already open. And just like that, you can see all the windows together on a single screen again. It feels organized and surprisingly close to how virtual desktops work on a regular computer. Using the Alt-Tab keyboard shortcut brings up all the apps that are still active in memory. From there, you can quickly switch between them without touching the mouse. It works almost exactly like it does on a traditional desktop system, and it makes jumping between tasks feel fast and natural. Multitasking here is actually quite robust. Apps stay in memory smoothly, and switching between them doesn't feel laggy. The Chrome experience in desktop mode is surprisingly good as well. It truly behaves like a desktop browser rather than a blown up mobile version. And when you open YouTube, it gets the full desktop treatment. Proper layout, full controls, and the familiar interface you would expect on a PC. It really completes the whole desktop style experience. Photo editing definitely feels a lot easier here compared to the regular mobile experience. With a larger screen and proper mouse control, adjustments feel more precise and you can see your edits more clearly without constantly zooming in and out. When you open Lightroom, it switches to the tablet style UI, which gives you much more screen real estate to work with. The layout feels less cramped, tools are better spaced out, and overall it's just more comfortable for detailed edits. Even working with document files using a keyboard feels very similar to using Word on a desktop. Typing, selecting text, using shortcuts, everything feels natural. And you also get the circle to search feature here. Just long press the home button and you can literally draw or circle anything on the screen to instantly get results from Google. It works even in desktop mode, which is pretty impressive. So whether it's an image, text or something inside a web page, you just circle it and Google pulls up the relevant results right away. It feels quick and very intuitive. You also get access to the Google search bar from here, making it easy to type in queries directly if you prefer that instead of drawing. It's nice to see these core Android features still fully functional, even in a desktop style setup. I did run into a couple of minor bugs here and there, but nothing that really broke the experience or made it frustrating to use. For the most part, everything worked reliably. Some features are still missing, like setting wallpaper. Working with multiple windows is honestly such a good experience. Multitasking is clearly the main strength of Android desktop. Being able to move apps around, snap them, resize them, and switch instantly with keyboard shortcuts makes it feel far more capable than I initially expected. What surprised me even more is how smooth everything runs on the Pixel 8a with just 8GB of RAM. It handles multiple apps in memory without constantly reloading them. And with more phones now launching with 12GB of RAM, it really makes you think. For most everyday tasks, you might not even need a traditional PC. Unfortunately, I couldn't test any games since I'm not really into gaming. If you have tried the desktop feature on your Pixel, including games, let me know in the comments how the experience has been. See you all soon in my next video. Thanks for watching.